My degree is in political science, so I didn't grow up wanting to be a writer. I actually grew up wanting to be a photojournalist. I love taking pictures, I love writing stories, but English is my fourth language. And I remember the first few times I spoken to family members about my desire to write. Often what I would get back was, you can't. There is no way that you'll be able to compete with native speakers of English. I had gotten a position as the spokesperson for the Campaign for a Landmine-Free World in Washington, D.C., and I needed to have a vehicle to talk about the larger issues of war and peace. And so I thought I'd write a little book and send that out as a resume. It was a transition of taking what I've written in my journals and in my diaries and turning it into memoirs. Suddenly, a cannonball shoot into the air, the whiz of its flight and brilliant explosions hover over me. My hand clasps over my ears, my eyes shut, my jaw clenches so tightly I could feel the muscle of my cheeks cramp up. In the sky, the rockets explode, and its deafening sound vibrates in my heart. Then another cannon hurls another weapon above the crowd, and is followed by many more as I brace myself for the oncoming war. When I published my first book in 2000, I expected all of 10 people to read it. The moment I realized that it was going to be read by a few more people than that was when USA Today came out and put me on the cover of the newspaper. That was my moment where I thought, I think I'm going to sell more than 10 copies. When I wrote First They Killed My Father, the book that sat on my desk was Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. And for me, it was brilliant the way she had written about voices. I kept it there to remind me to always be authentic to the voice I was writing about. The smell of burnt powder, the brightness of the bombs, and the haze of the smoke are so terrifying that even the stars leave us and disappear into their black holes. Somewhere in the crowd, a baby screams. Its cries jump into my head and are trapped in my skull, flooding my senses. Another explosion sends me trying to scurry under the bench, but my brother Ming grabs my arm and holds me in my seat. I get letters from second-generation Cambodians who grew up after the Khmer Rouge, who were born in the refugee camps, who came to the US, and whose parents are still so traumatized by the stories they cannot speak about it. And for these young people, they've written to me and said, I didn't know this about my story. I didn't know this is why my father sometimes cannot look at pictures of his grandparents or his brothers and sisters who didn't come and who we never spoke about. To be the generation who lived through it, but also came here young enough to be able to communicate the story to the second and third generations. That has been a real fun kick. In the dark, my brother Ming's voice calls out to me, his hand reaching into my shelter to pull me out. The mass departs. Everyone is smiling and laughing. That was a wonderful 4th of July show, they said. What a wonderful show.